3 weeks passed after Henry's visit, and Maya almost forgot about the strange old man. She was busy with her work and trying to save money for Jake's next semester. But then weird things started happening around her shop. The first strange thing happened on a Tuesday morning. Maya was working on a customer's jacket when her sewing machine started acting differently. The stitches came out perfectly straight, and even without her having to guide the fabric carefully. Usually she had to concentrate hard to make such neat stitches, but now the machine seemed to do most of the work by itself. Maya thought maybe she was just getting better at her job, but then her cutting scissors started staying sharp much longer than usual. The fabric seemed to cut more easily, and her measurements came out exactly right every time. Even her old measuring tape, which had been stretched and worn for years, seemed to give perfect measurements again. The second strange thing was with her customers. More people started coming to her shop than ever before. They all said they heard about her from friends, but when Maya asked which friends, they could never remember exactly who had told them. Some customers said they just felt drawn to come to her shop for reasons they could not explain. Maya was happy about the extra business, but she found it puzzling. She had not done any advertising and she had not changed anything about her work, yet somehow word about her shop was spreading faster than it ever had before. The third strange thing involved her electronics. Sometimes when Maya was working, her radio would briefly pick up sounds that did not seem like normal radio stations. She would hear what sounded like voices speaking in a language she did not recognize. The sounds came and went so quickly that she could not be sure she had really heard them. Her cash register also started doing odd things. Sometimes numbers would flash on the display that looked more like symbols than regular numbers. Maya would blink and look again, and the display would be normal. She began to think her old cash register was finally breaking down. But the strangest thing of all was the gifts that started appearing outside her shop. Maya would arrive in the morning to find packages wrapped in plain paper sitting by her front door. Inside the packages were beautiful fabrics and sewing supplies that she had never seen before. The fabrics were amazing. Some felt like silk, but were stronger than canvas. Others seemed to change color slightly depending on how the light hit them. There were threads that sparkled like tiny stars and needles that never seemed to get dull no matter how much she used them. Maya looked everywhere for security cameras that might show who was leaving these gifts, but there were no cameras pointed at her shop entrance. She asked the other shop owners on her street if they had seen anyone leaving packages, but no one had noticed anything unusual. The gifts always appeared overnight, and there was never any note or card to explain who they were from. Maya felt guilty about using them since she did not know who had given them to her. But the materials were so beautiful and useful that she could not resist working with them. When Maya used the mysterious fabrics and threads, her work came out better than ever before. Customers were amazed by the quality, and many asked where she had gotten such wonderful materials. Maya had to admit she did not know. Jake noticed the changes when he came to visit Maya at her shop. Her younger brother was studying physics at the local college, and he had always been curious about how things worked. When he saw the strange new materials Maya was using, he became very interested. "Where did you get this thread?" Jake asked, holding up a spool that seemed to glow faintly in the shop lights. "Someone left it outside the shop," Maya explained. "I keep finding packages of sewing supplies, but I don't know who's leaving them." Jake examined the thread more closely. "This doesn't look like any synthetic material I've studied," he said. "Can I take a small sample to test in the college lab?" Maya agreed, and Jake carefully cut off a small piece of the glowing thread. He also took samples of some of the unusual fabrics that had appeared with the gifts. A few days later, Jake came back to Maya's shop with a very excited expression on his face. He had test results from the college chemistry lab, and the news was incredible. "Maya, you need to sit down for this," Jake said, pulling out some papers covered with scientific data. "These materials are not from Earth." Maya stared at her brother, thinking he was making a joke. "What do you mean, not from Earth?" "I mean the elements that make up these fabrics and threads include things that don't exist on our planet," Jake explained. "The lab found atomic structures that match theoretical models for elements that scientists think might exist on other worlds, but we've never actually seen them." Maya felt dizzy. "That's impossible, Jake. Someone is probably just playing a trick on us." "I thought so too," Jake said. but I've run the tests 3 times and shown the results to my physics professor. He wants to know where you got these materials because they represent a major scientific discovery. Maya told Jake about Henry and how she had repaired his strange coat. She described the unusual fabric Henry had been wearing and how it had seemed similar to some of the materials that had been appearing outside her shop. Jake listened carefully to everything Maya said. When she finished, he looked very serious. "Maya, I think you need to tell me everything you remember about this Henry person," Jake said. Every detail, no matter how small. Maya thought back to that rainy night 3 weeks ago. She remembered Henry's strange blue eyes and the way he moved with unusual grace. She told Jake about how Henry had said he was a traveler from far away, and how he seemed to study everything in her shop very carefully. "He knew my full name, even though I only told him my first name," Maya remembered. "And when he left, he said something about how small acts of kindness can change everything." Jake wrote down everything Maya told him. He asked her to describe Henry's appearance and his manner of speaking. Maya noticed that Jake seemed to be treating this like some kind of investigation. "Do you think Henry was involved with leaving these materials?" Maya asked. "It's possible," Jake replied. "But Maya, if these materials really are from somewhere other than Earth, then Henry might not be who he appeared to be." The idea seemed crazy to Maya, but she could not ignore the evidence. The strange materials were real, and according to Jake's test, they contained elements not found on Earth. Someone or something had been leaving them specifically for her. That night, Maya stayed late at her shop thinking about everything that had happened. She examined the mysterious materials more carefully and noticed things she had missed before. Some of the fabrics had patterns woven into them that looked almost like writing or symbols. The threads seemed to respond to heat and light in ways that normal thread did not. Maya also remembered other odd things about Henry that she had not paid attention to at the time. His clothes had been dirty and torn, but his hands and fingernails had been perfectly clean. He had moved like someone who was used to walking in low gravity, and his eyes had seemed to reflect light in an unusual way. As Maya worked with the strange materials, she began to feel like someone was watching her. It was not a frightening feeling exactly, but it made her aware that something important was happening. She had the sense that her simple act of kindness to Henry had started a chain of events that was much bigger than she understood. Maya decided to keep the mysterious gifts secret from everyone except Jake. She continued using the materials in her work, and her business kept growing. Customers came from farther and farther away to have clothes made by the young seamstress, who somehow had access to the most beautiful fabrics anyone had ever seen. But Maya also started paying more attention to unusual things around her shop. She watched for Henry in case he came back. She listened more carefully to the strange sounds that sometimes came from her radio. And she began to wonder if her life was about to change in ways she could never have imagined. Late at night, when Maya was alone in her shop, she sometimes felt like the walls themselves were listening to her thoughts. The feeling was not scary, but it made her realize that her small tailor shop had somehow become the center of something much larger and more mysterious than a simple business. Maya did not know it yet, but her kindness to Henry had indeed changed everything. Forces beyond her understanding were now focused on her little shop, and her simple life was about to become much more complicated. The gifts of strange materials were just the beginning of what was coming. The next several days aboard the alien ship were unlike anything Maya could have imagined. The beings from 12 different species took turns meeting with her and Jake to learn about human nature and capabilities. Each species had their own way of communicating and thinking, which made every encounter a new challenge. The first formal test came from the Zephyrians, the tall, thin beings with orange skin that Maya had seen in the corridors. They communicated primarily through changes in the color of their skin, and they wanted to see if humans could learn their visual language. "This is impossible," Maya said, after trying for an hour to understand what the Zephyrian representative was telling her through shifting skin colors. "I can't tell what the different colors mean." Jake was having similar difficulty. "Maybe we're just not evolved to understand visual communication," he said, feeling frustrated. But Henry encouraged them to keep trying. The ability to learn new forms of communication is very important in the galactic community. he explained. Many conflicts between species have been caused by misunderstandings. Maya decided to approach the problem differently. Instead of trying to memorize what each color meant, she began paying attention to the emotional feeling she got from different color combinations. When the Zephyrian's skin turned warm orange and yellow, Maya felt welcome and friendly. When it shifted to dark blue and purple, she sensed sadness or concern. "I think they're not just showing us words," Maya told Jake. "They're showing us emotions and feelings." Jake tried Maya's approach, and soon he was having better luck too. By the end of the day, both humans were able to have simple conversations with the Zephyrians by reading their emotional colors and responding with their own facial expressions and gestures. The Zephyrian representative seemed pleased with their progress. Through Henry's translation, it said, "Humans show good instinct for emotional communication. This will help build trust between species." The second test involved the crystalline collective, the beings who looked like living crystal formations. They communicated through musical tones and wanted to see if humans could participate in their form of group decision-making. "We need to solve a problem together," the lead crystalline being explained through harmonious singing. "A supply ship has been damaged in space and we must decide how to rescue the crew." Maya and Jake found themselves in a room with 6 crystalline beings who began singing different solutions to the rescue problem. Each being's song represented a different approach, and by harmonizing together, they would reach a consensus decision. At first, Maya felt lost. She could not produce the complex musical tones that the crystalline beings used. But she realized she could hum simple melodies that seemed to blend with their songs. Jake discovered he could use rhythm by tapping on the crystal walls to add his input to their musical discussions. The crystalline beings were fascinated by the humans' creative approach to their communication style. "Your species brings new harmonies to our songs," one of them sang. "Diversity in communication creates stronger solutions." Working together, the humans and crystalline beings developed a rescue plan that combined the aliens' advanced technology with human creativity and resourcefulness. Maya suggested using fabric and rope techniques she knew from sewing to create emergency repairs for the damaged ship, while Jake contributed ideas about physics and engineering. The most challenging test came from the Mentari, a species that looked like floating spheres of light and communicated through direct mental contact. They wanted to see if humans could handle telepathic communication without becoming overwhelmed or confused. "This may be difficult for you," Henry warned. "Telepathy can be overwhelming for species not evolved for it." The lead Mentari being approached Maya first. "We will share thoughts gently," it said in her mind. "Try to remain calm and open." Suddenly, Maya could feel the alien's thoughts mixing with her own. She experienced memories of distant worlds and starships and civilizations that existed millions of years ago. The sensation was incredible, but also frightening. Maya felt like her own thoughts might get lost in the vast alien mind. But then she remembered something Henry had said about humans having strong individual identity. Maya focused on her own memories, her life in the tailor shop, her love for her brother Jake, and her desire to help others. These personal thoughts seemed to create a barrier that protected her mind while still allowing the telepathic communication. "Remarkable," the Mentari being said, withdrawing from Maya's mind. "Your species has natural mental defenses that allow telepathic contact without loss of self. This is very rare among developing civilizations." Jake's experience with the Mentari was equally successful. His scientific training helped him analyze the telepathic process even while experiencing it. "It's like having a conversation inside your head," he explained to Maya afterward. "But you never lose track of which thoughts are yours and which belong to the alien." The most practical test involved working with the Verdani, a species that looked like walking trees with silver bark. They were facing a real crisis on one of their colony worlds, where a disease was killing their forest cities. The Verdani wanted to see if humans could help solve problems that affected species very different from themselves. "Our world is dying," the Verdani representative explained through rustling sounds that Henry translated. "A fungus is destroying our living buildings, and we cannot stop its spread." Maya and Jake studied the problem carefully. The Verdani lived in cities that were Actually, giant trees modified to serve as buildings. The fungus attacked the root systems and caused the tree buildings to collapse. Jake applied his physics knowledge to understand how the fungus spread through the root networks. Maya used her understanding of fabrics and materials to suggest ways to create barriers that might stop the infection from spreading. What if we created a fabric membrane that could be wrapped around the healthy root systems? Maya proposed. Something that would let nutrients through but block the fungus. The Verdani were excited by this idea. Working together, they developed a plan to use advanced alien materials to create protective barriers based on Maya's fabric concepts. Jake contributed ideas about how to install the barriers without damaging the delicate root systems. Humans think in ways we had not considered. The Verdani representative rustled happily. Your species brings fresh perspectives to old problems. Each test revealed different aspects of human nature to the alien observers. They were impressed by humanity's adaptability and creativity. Humans seemed able to learn new forms of communication quickly and contribute useful ideas even when dealing with completely unfamiliar situations. But the aliens were most impressed by something else. Throughout all the tests, Maya and Jake consistently showed concern for the well-being of other species. They did not just try to solve problems, they tried to solve them in ways that would help everyone involved. Many species we evaluate focus only on their own benefit. Commander Lisa explained to Maya during a break between tests. But humans seem to naturally consider how their actions will affect others. Is that unusual? Maya asked. Very unusual, Dr. Alex replied. Most developing civilizations are primarily concerned with their own survival and advancement. Your species shows remarkable empathy for beings you have just met. As the testing period continued, Maya began to realize that these were not just academic exercises. The aliens were facing real challenges, and they genuinely wanted human input on solving them. Her simple act of kindness to Henry had led not just to first contact but to humans becoming active contributors to an interstellar community. On the final day of testing, all 12 species gathered to discuss their evaluation of humanity. Maya and Jake were invited to observe the proceedings as the alien representatives shared their conclusions about human potential. The discussion was conducted in a mixture of different communication methods, musical tones from the crystalline being's color, displays from the Zephyrians, and telepathic exchanges with the Mentari. Henry provided translation for the humans. The consensus is clear, Henry finally announced. Humanity has passed the evaluation. You will be invited to join the galactic community as junior members with the opportunity to advance as your species develops. Maya felt a mixture of pride and nervousness. What does that mean exactly? It means that humans will be gradually introduced to advanced technologies and given opportunities to contribute to interstellar projects, Commander Lisa explained. But the process will be slow and careful to avoid disrupting your natural development. Jake was practically bouncing with excitement. This is going to change everything for humanity. But Maya was thinking about the responsibility that came with this opportunity. What if we make mistakes? What if humans aren't ready for this after all? Henry smiled at her concern. Maya, your worry about making mistakes is exactly why we believe humans are ready. Species that are too confident or too selfish are not suitable for galactic membership. Your humility and desire to do right by others gives us confidence in humanity's future. The decision to accept humanity into the galactic community was just the beginning. Maya soon learned that there were procedures and protocols for introducing a new species to advanced civilization. She and Jake would play important roles in this process, but they would not be doing it alone. We need to select other humans who can help bridge the gap between your species and ours, Henry explained, as they sat in the observation deck watching Earth rotate slowly below them. People who have the right combination of wisdom, compassion, and adaptability. Maya felt overwhelmed by the responsibility. How are we supposed to choose who represents all of humanity? You don't choose for all humans, Commander Lisa assured her. You help us identify individuals who can serve as initial contact points. Eventually, every human will have the opportunity to participate in galactic society if they choose to. Dr. Alex brought up a holographic display showing different regions of Earth. We have been observing many humans during our study period. There are teachers who show patience with difficult students, doctors who travel to poor countries to help people they will never see again, scientists who share their discoveries freely instead of keeping them secret for profit. Jake studied the display with fascination. You've been watching humans all over the world. Yes, Henry confirmed. We needed to understand if Maya's kindness was unique or representative of broader human potential. What we found was encouraging. The holographic display showed dozens of people from different countries and cultures. Maya saw a farmer in Kenya who shared his water with thirsty travelers, a teacher in Brazil who used her own money to buy supplies for her students, an elderly man in Japan who spent his retirement helping lonely people learn to use computers. All of these people showed the same basic qualities you demonstrated, Dr. Alex explained: compassion for others, willingness to help without expecting reward, and the ability to see past surface differences to recognize shared needs. Maya realized that her simple act of kindness to Henry was part of a larger pattern of human behavior. So there are good people everywhere. Yes, Henry smiled. And that is why we have confidence in your species' future. The capacity for goodness exists in humans around the world. Over the next few days, Maya and Jake worked with the aliens to develop a plan for gradual contact with Earth. They would start by approaching the humans who had been identified as potential ambassadors. These people would be told the truth about alien contact and given the choice to participate in the introduction process. We want to avoid shocking your entire civilization at once, Commander Lisa explained. Sudden contact with advanced aliens has caused problems for other species in the past. Some civilizations become dependent on alien technology and stop developing their own capabilities. Others become fearful and hostile. The plan was to begin with small groups of trusted humans who would help prepare their communities for eventual open contact. Maya would return to Earth as one of the primary liaisons, working secretly with other selected humans to introduce alien concepts and technologies gradually. Think of it as planting seeds, Dr. Alex suggested. Ideas and innovations that seem to come from human creativity, but are actually guided by alien knowledge. Jake was excited about his role in the process. I can work with scientists and researchers to introduce new theoretical concepts, things that push human understanding forward without being so advanced that they seem impossible. Maya's role would be different, but equally important. She would continue running her tailor shop, but she would also serve as a meeting point for the secret contact network. Her shop would become a place where selected humans could meet with aliens and learn about galactic civilization. The materials we have been giving you are just the beginning, Henry explained. Your shop will become a kind of embassy where humans can experience alien technology in a safe and comfortable environment. Maya thought about how much her life had changed since that rainy night when she invited Henry inside. Will I ever be able to tell people the truth about what's happening? Eventually, yes, Commander Lisa replied. But for now, secrecy is necessary to protect both humans and aliens. If knowledge of our presence became public too soon, it could cause panic or political problems that would make peaceful contact much more difficult. The aliens had studied human history, and they understood how badly first contact situations could go wrong. They pointed to examples of what happened when technologically advanced civilizations encountered less developed ones on Earth. Too often the results had been conquest, exploitation, or cultural destruction. We want to avoid repeating those mistakes, Dr. Alex emphasized. Our goal is to help humanity develop naturally while providing guidance and support when needed. Maya began to understand the enormous complexity of what the aliens were trying to accomplish. They were not just making contact with humanity, they were trying to do it in a way that would benefit both species and preserve human independence and dignity. What about governments and world leaders? Jake asked. Won't they need to know what's happening? Eventually they will be informed, Henry replied. But experience has shown us that political leaders often focus on gaining advantage over other nations rather than on what's best for their entire species. We prefer to work with individuals who represent the best human qualities rather than those who hold official power. This approach made sense to Maya. She remembered reading about how governments sometimes made decisions based on politics rather than on helping people. The aliens seemed more interested in working with humans who actually cared about making the world a better place. As their time on the alien ship came to an end, Maya felt both excited and nervous about returning to Earth. She would be carrying an enormous secret and an incredible responsibility. But she also felt ready for the challenge. "Remember that you are not alone in this," Henry assured her. "We will be in regular contact and there will be other humans working toward the same goals. The network of contact ambassadors will support each other." Jake was given a special communicator that looked like an ordinary cell phone, but could reach the alien ship from anywhere on Earth. Maya received a similar device along with detailed instructions about how to identify other humans who might be suitable for contact. "Trust your instincts," Dr. Alex advised. "You recognize something special in Henry, even when he was disguised as a homeless man. That same intuition will help you identify other humans who are ready for galactic contact." Before leaving the ship, Maya and Jake were taken on a tour of its advanced facilities. They saw laboratories where alien scientists worked to solve problems affecting multiple species. They visited engineering sections where new technologies were developed and tested. They observed diplomatic areas where representatives from different civilizations met to resolve conflicts peacefully. "This is the future we're offering to humanity," Commander Lisa explained. "A chance to be part of something larger than your own world. To contribute to projects that benefit the entire galaxy." Maya was amazed by the cooperation she saw between different alien species. Beings who looked nothing like each other worked together seamlessly, sharing knowledge and resources for the common good. It gave her hope that humans could learn to do the same thing. "The most important thing to remember," Henry said as they prepared to return to Earth, "is that this process will take time, probably many years or even decades. Change this big cannot happen overnight." Maya nodded, understanding. "We'll need to be patient and careful." "Exactly," Henry replied. "But Maya, your kindness to a stranger has started something that will eventually transform both of our civilizations. Small acts of compassion really can change the universe." As their transport carried them back toward Earth, Maya looked out at the stars with new understanding. Somewhere out there among those distant lights were thousands of different species living and working together in peace. And now humanity had been invited to join them. The seamstress from Portland, who had once worried about paying her rent, was about to become one of the most important people in human history. But Maya felt ready for whatever came next, because she knew she would not be facing it alone. Maya Thompson wiped her tired eyes and looked at the clock on the wall of her small tailor shop. It was already past 9 in the evening, and the rain outside was getting worse. She had been working since 7 in the morning trying to finish Mrs. Garcia's wedding dress. The dress needed to be ready by tomorrow, and Maya could not afford to lose this customer. The young woman was only 24 years old, but she already felt much older. Running her own business was harder than she had ever imagined. Most days she barely made enough money to pay for rent and food. Her younger brother Jake was in college, and she helped him with his expenses too. Their parents had died in a car accident 3 years ago, and Maya had to take care of everything. Maya stood up to stretch her back when she noticed someone sitting outside her shop. Through the rain-covered window, she could see an old man huddled against the brick wall. He was wearing a torn coat that looked very old and dirty. The poor man was trying to stay dry under the small roof above her shop entrance, but the wind was blowing rain right at him. She watched the old man for a few minutes. He looked cold and wet, and very tired. Maya felt sorry for him. She knew what it was like to struggle with money and not have enough warm clothes. The winter had been especially hard this year, and many homeless people were having trouble finding warm places to stay. Maya made a decision. She walked to her front door and opened it. The cold wind hit her face immediately and she shivered. "Excuse me, sir," she called out to the old man. "Would you like to come inside where it's warm?" The old man looked up at her with surprise. His eyes were a strange light blue color that seemed to shine even in the dim streetlight. His face was covered with a gray beard, and his hair was long and messy. But there was something about his eyes that made Maya think he was not just an ordinary homeless person. You want me to come into your shop? The old man asked. His voice was deep and clear. He spoke English very well, but there was something different about the way he said certain words. Yes, please come in, Maya said. It's too cold and wet out here. The old man slowly stood up. He was taller than Maya had expected, and he moved carefully like someone who was in pain. But when he walked toward her, she noticed that he moved with a strange kind of grace. It was like he was used to walking in a different kind of environment. Maya held the door open and the old man stepped into her warm shop. Water dripped from his clothes onto her clean floor, but Maya did not mind. She quickly grabbed some old towels from the back room and handed them to him. Here, you can dry off with these, she said. I'll make some coffee if you want some. The old man took the towels and looked around her shop. His strange blue eyes seemed to study everything very carefully. He looked at her sewing machines and the half-finished clothes hanging on racks. He examined the pictures on her walls and the small desk where she did her paperwork. This is a very nice place, he said finally. You make clothes here? Yes, I'm a seamstress, Maya replied as she started making coffee on the small hot plate in the corner. I repair clothes and make new ones too. It's not much, but it's my business. The old man nodded and continued drying himself with the towels. Maya noticed that his torn coat was made from a very unusual fabric. It looked almost like it had tiny metal threads woven into it. In the bright lights of her shop, the coat seemed to change colors slightly when he moved. That's an interesting coat, Maya said. I've never seen fabric like that before. The old man looked down at his coat and smiled a little. It's very old, he said. It has traveled many places with me. Maya brought him a cup of hot coffee and he accepted it gratefully. His hands were clean despite his appearance, and she noticed that his fingernails were perfectly trimmed. This was strange for someone who had been living on the streets. My name is Maya, she said. What's your name? You can call me Henry, the old man replied. He sipped his coffee and sighed with pleasure. This is very good coffee, Maya. Thank you for your kindness. You're welcome, Henry, Maya said. Are you from around here? Henry shook his head. I am a traveler from very far away, he said. I have been visiting different places and watching how people live. Maya assumed he meant he was a drifter who moved from city to city. Many homeless people did that, especially during winter when they tried to find warmer places to stay. It must be hard traveling without much money, Maya said. I know what it's like to struggle financially. Henry looked at her with those strange bright eyes. You have your own struggles, but you still invite a stranger into your shop, he said. Why do you do this? Maya thought about his question for a moment. Because everyone deserves help when they need it, she said simply. I may not have much money, but I can still share what I have. Henry nodded slowly, like he was thinking very carefully about her answer. Not everyone would do what you are doing, he said. Many people would walk past someone like me without stopping. That's sad but true, Maya agreed. But I believe most people are good inside. Sometimes they just forget to show it. While they talked, Maya kept looking at Henry's damaged coat. The tears in the fabric bothered her professional eye. She could see that it had once been a very well-made garment, but now it was falling apart. Henry, would you mind if I looked at your coat? Maya asked. I might be able to repair some of those tears for you. Henry seemed surprised by her offer. You would do that for me? Of course, Maya said. It's what I do, and you need a warm coat for weather like this. Henry carefully took off his coat and handed it to Maya. She immediately noticed how unusual the fabric felt in her hands. It was softer than silk, but stronger than leather. The metal threads she had noticed were woven throughout the material in complex patterns that seemed to have some kind of purpose. Maya laid the coat on her work table and examined it closely. The damage was extensive, but she could fix most of it. She selected her finest thread and best needles and began working. As she sewed, she noticed that the fabric seemed to respond to her touch in strange ways. Her stitches came out perfectly, even though she was working with unfamiliar material. Henry watched her work with great interest. He asked her questions about her sewing techniques and seemed fascinated by how carefully she repaired each tier. Maya found herself telling him about her life, her struggles with money, and her worry about her brother Jake. You care very much about your brother, Henry observed. He's all the family I have left, Maya said as she continued sewing. Our parents died 3 years ago, and I've been taking care of him ever since. He's studying physics in college, and he's very smart. I want to make sure he can finish his education. Physics, Henry said with interest. What kind of physics does he study? Theoretical stuff mostly, Maya replied. He's always talking about space and other planets and things like that. I don't understand most of it, but he loves it. Henry nodded and smiled slightly. Space is very interesting, he said. There are many wonderful things out there that most people never imagine. Maya finished repairing the coat after 2 hours of careful work. She had reinforced all the tiers and added extra insulation from her own supplies. The coat looked much better now and would definitely keep Henry warmer. There you go, she said, handing the coat back to him. It should hold up much better now. Henry put the coat on and examined Maya's work. He seemed very impressed with what she had done. This is excellent craftsmanship, he said. You have both skill and a good heart. It's nothing special, Maya said modestly. I'm just glad I could help. Henry looked at her for a long moment with those strange bright eyes. Your kindness will not be forgotten, he said. People like you give hope for the future. The rain had stopped while Maya was working on the coat. Henry finished his coffee and prepared to leave. Maya packed some leftover food from her dinner into a bag and gave it to him. Take this, she said. You need to eat something. Henry accepted the food with gratitude. Thank you, Maya Thompson, he said. You have shown me something very important tonight. Maya was surprised that he knew her full name, since she had only told him her first name. But before she could ask about it, Henry was already walking toward the door. Will you be okay out there? Maya asked. Do you have somewhere warm to sleep? I will be fine, Henry replied. And Maya remembered that small acts of kindness can change everything. Henry stepped out into the night and Maya watched him walk down the empty street. Something about the way he moved made her think again that he was not an ordinary homeless person. But she was too tired to think about it much more. She cleaned up her shop and went home feeling good about helping someone who needed it. The next evening, Jake came to Maya's shop as planned. Maya had called him earlier asking him to come over because she had something incredible to show him. When Jake arrived, he found Maya waiting with 3 people he had never seen before. Jake, this is Henry, Maya said nervously. Remember I told you about the man whose coat I repaired? Jake looked at Henry with curiosity. You look very different from how Maya described you. Henry smiled. I was not entirely honest about my appearance when I first met your sister. Jake, I understand you study physics, particularly theories about space and other planets. Yes, that's right, Jake replied, wondering where this conversation was going. What would you say if I told you that life exists on many other planets and that some of those beings are visiting Earth right now? Henry asked. Jake laughed, thinking Henry was making a joke. I'd say that would be the most important discovery in human history, but I'd need to see proof. Henry looked at Commander Lisa and Dr. Alex. Show him, Henry said simply. The 3 visitors began changing from their human disguises to their true alien forms. Jake's mouth fell open as he watched Henry grow taller, and his skin turned silver. Commander Lisa's skin became dark blue, and Dr. Alex transformed into his golden yellow appearance. Jake staggered backward and sat down heavily on Maya's work stool. This is impossible, he whispered. Jake, these beings are from a galactic alliance that includes many different species, Maya explained. They've been studying humans to decide if we're ready for contact with advanced civilizations. Jake stared at the 3 aliens trying to process what he was seeing. His scientific mind was struggling between disbelief and excitement. You're really from other planets? Yes, Jake, we are, Henry replied, returning to his human form. We represent an organization that monitors developing species throughout the galaxy. Your sister's kindness to me has influenced our evaluation of humanity. Dr. Alex stepped forward. Jake, we understand you study theoretical physics. What do you know about faster-than-light travel? Jake's eyes widened. It's theoretically possible according to some equations, but we don't have the technology to achieve it. Are you saying you can actually travel faster than light? Much faster, Commander Lisa confirmed. Our ship can cross your solar system in a matter of hours. We would like to invite both you and Maya to visit our vessel and meet representatives from other species. Maya looked at her brother with concern. Jake, I know this is a lot to take in, but Jake was already getting excited. Maya, do you realize what this means? This is first contact with an alien civilization. This is the most important moment in human history. Henry nodded approvingly. Your brother has the right attitude, Maya. Scientific curiosity combined with open-mindedness will serve humanity well as you join the galactic community. Jake had dozens of questions about alien technology and space travel. Dr. Alex was happy to answer some of them, but explained that Jake would learn much more aboard their ship. The aliens had decided to invite Jake along because his scientific background would help him understand things that might be confusing to Maya. When do we leave? Jake asked eagerly. Tonight, if you are ready, Henry replied. Our ship is hidden on the far side of your moon. The journey will take about 2 hours. Maya felt nervous, but excited. How exactly will we get there, Commander Lisa? Smiled. We have a small transport vehicle parked behind your shop. It is invisible to human eyes and instruments, but it will take us safely to the main ship. The aliens led Maya and Jake out the back door of the shop into the alley. At first, Maya saw nothing unusual, but then Henry pressed something on his wrist and a sleek silver vehicle appeared out of nowhere. It was about the size of a van, but shaped more like a teardrop with no visible wheels or engines. Incredible, Jake breathed. Some kind of cloaking technology, yes, Dr. Alex confirmed. The vehicle bends light around itself to become invisible. Please step inside. The inside of the transport was unlike anything Maya had ever seen. There were no regular seats. Instead, there were cushioned areas that seemed to mold themselves to fit whoever sat in them. The walls glowed with a soft blue light and there were no visible controls or instruments. How does it fly? Jake asked as they lifted smoothly off the ground. The vehicle manipulates gravitational fields, Henry explained. Instead of pushing against air or burning fuel, we simply adjust our relationship to gravity itself. Maya looked out the transparent walls of the transport and watched the earth fall away below them. The city lights became tiny dots and then they were flying above the clouds. Within minutes they could see the curve of the planet and the blackness of space. Beyond, I can't believe this is really happening, Maya whispered. The journey to the alien ship was smooth and quiet. Jake peppered the aliens with questions about their technology, while Maya simply stared in amazement at the view. She could see the moon growing larger ahead of them, and the stars were brighter than she had ever imagined. There is our ship, Commander, Lisa said, pointing to what looked like empty space near the moon. Suddenly, a massive vessel appeared before them. Maya gasped at the size of it. The ship was easily a mile long and shaped like a giant crystal with many faceted surfaces. Lights moved along its hull in complex patterns, and Maya could see smaller vehicles moving around it like bees around a hive. How many people live on that ship? Maya asked. About 5,000 beings from 12 different species, Henry replied. It is a mobile research station and diplomatic facility. Their small transport was drawn into a docking bay inside the huge ship. As they landed, Maya noticed that the bay was filled with vehicles of many different shapes and sizes. Some looked similar to their transport, while others were completely alien in design. Welcome aboard the research vessel Harmony, Dr. Alex said as they stepped out of the transport. Maya and Jake found themselves in a vast space with corridors leading off in multiple directions. The walls were made of the same crystal-like material as the ship's exterior, and they glowed with gentle colors that seemed to change slowly over time. The ship adjusts its environment automatically for different species, Henry explained. The air you are breathing has been modified for human comfort, and the gravity has been set to Earth normal in this section. As they walked through the corridors, Maya and Jake saw their first glimpses of other alien species. A group of tall, thin beings with orange skin walked past them, moving with fluid grace. Another alien that looked like a walking tree covered in silver bark nodded politely as it passed. Don't stare, Henry advised quietly. Different species have different social customs, but politeness is universal. They entered a large, circular room with a domed ceiling that showed a perfect view of space. Representatives from several alien species were waiting to meet the humans. Maya felt overwhelmed by the variety of beings present. There was a creature that looked like a giant butterfly with iridescent wings. Another being appeared to be made entirely of living crystal that reflected light in beautiful patterns. A third alien was roughly humanoid, but covered in what looked like blue fur. "Welcome, Maya Thompson and Jake Thompson," said a voice that seemed to come from everywhere at once. "We are honored to meet representatives of humanity." Maya realized that the voice belonged to a being that looked like a floating sphere of light. It had no visible mouth but somehow was able to speak perfect English. "Thank you for inviting us," Maya managed to say, feeling nervous about speaking to so many alien beings. "Your sister's actions toward our observer, Henry, have impressed us greatly," said the butterfly creature in a voice like wind chimes. "We would like to learn more about human capacity for compassion and cooperation." Jake was staring around the room with undisguised fascination. "This is incredible," he said to Maya. "We're meeting beings from other worlds." The crystal being spoke next, and its voice sounded like singing. "Young scientist, your enthusiasm for learning pleases us. We hope that humans and our species can share knowledge for mutual benefit." Henry gestured for Maya and Jake to sit in chairs that appeared from the floor. "Maya and Jake, you are about to participate in the most important diplomatic meeting in human history. These beings will decide whether humanity is ready to join the galactic community." Maya felt the weight of responsibility settling on her shoulders. She was just a seamstress from Portland, but somehow her simple act of kindness had led to this moment. The future of humanity's relationship with the stars might depend on how well she represented her species in the next few days. 2 months after the night Maya had helped Henry, the old man returned to her shop. But this time everything was different. Maya was working late on a wedding dress when she heard a gentle knock on her front door. She looked up to see Henry standing outside, but he no longer looked like a homeless person. Henry was wearing clothes made from the same strange materials that had been appearing outside Maya's shop. His coat was the one she had repaired, but it now looked new and perfectly fitted. His hair was clean and neatly trimmed, and his beard was gone. Most striking of all were his bright blue eyes, which seemed to glow softly in the evening light. Maya opened the door, feeling confused and a little nervous. "Henry, is that really you?" "Yes, Maya, it is me," Henry replied with the same deep, clear voice she remembered. "May I come in? I have something very important to tell you." Maya stepped aside to let Henry enter. As he walked into her shop, she noticed that he moved with even more of that strange grace she had observed before. It was like he was used to moving in a place where gravity worked differently. "You look very different," Maya said, closing the door behind him. "Are you feeling better?" Henry smiled, and Maya could see that his teeth were perfectly white and straight. "I am feeling much better, thank you. But I must tell you the truth about who I really am." Before Maya could respond, she heard footsteps outside her shop. 2 more people approached her door, and Henry gestured for her to let them in. Maya opened the door to find a man and woman who looked mostly human, but something about them seemed off. They moved with the same fluid grace as Henry, and their eyes had an unusual brightness. "Maya, these are my colleagues," Henry said as the 2 strangers entered the shop. "This is Commander Lisa and Dr. Alex. We work together." Maya felt her heart beating faster. "Work together doing what?" Henry looked at Maya with those glowing blue eyes, and his expression became very serious. "Maya, we are not from your planet. We are visitors from what you would call outer space." Maya stared at Henry, thinking he must be joking or maybe suffering from mental illness. "That's not possible, Henry. People from space don't exist." "I understand this is difficult to believe," Henry said gently. "Perhaps it would help if I showed you." Henry began to change before Maya's eyes. His skin started shifting color from normal human pink to a pale silver. His already tall frame stretched even taller until he was nearly 7 feet high. His features became more angular and his fingers grew longer. Most dramatic of all, his eyes became much larger and brighter. Maya gasped and took a step backward. Commander Lisa and Dr. Alex also transformed, revealing their true alien forms. Lisa had dark blue skin, and Dr. Alex's skin was a golden yellow color. All three beings looked basically humanoid, but clearly not human. "Please do not be afraid," Henry said in his transformed state. His voice was the same, but it seemed to come from deeper in his chest. "We mean you no harm. In fact, we came here because you showed us great kindness." Maya's mind was spinning. She sat down hard in her work chair, trying to process what she was seeing. "This can't be real," she whispered. "It is very real," Henry replied, changing back to his human appearance. "We are part of what you might call a galactic alliance. Many different species work together to explore the universe and study developing civilizations." "Developing civilizations," Maya repeated, feeling confused. Commander Lisa stepped forward. She had also returned to her human disguise and looked like an ordinary woman in her 30s. "Maya, your species humans are at an important point in your development. You are beginning to understand space travel and atomic energy. This makes you candidates for contact with the galactic community." Dr. Alex nodded. "But we cannot make contact with civilizations that are too violent or selfish. We must first study them to see if they are ready for the responsibility that comes." With advanced technology, Maya was starting to understand. "So you came here to study humans?" "Yes," Henry confirmed. "I have been living among humans for over 2 years, observing your behavior and learning about your culture. The night I came to your shop was part of my research. You were testing me." Maya realized, feeling a little hurt. Henry shook his head. "Not exactly testing Maya. I really was cold and wet that night, and I really needed help. But how you responded to someone you thought was less fortunate than yourself told us a great deal about human nature." Maya thought about that rainy night, and how she had invited Henry into her shop without expecting anything in return. "What did my actions tell you?" "They told us that humans are capable of great compassion," Commander Lisa answered. "Many intelligent species we have studied would not help someone they perceived as weak or different. Your kindness was remarkable." Dr. Alex smiled at Maya. "Not only did you help Henry, but you spent hours carefully repairing his coat without asking for payment. You shared your food and your warmth with a stranger. This showed us that humans have the capacity for selfless behavior." Maya felt overwhelmed by all this information. "But I'm just one person. Not all humans are like me." "This is true," Henry agreed. "But the fact that humans like you exist gives us hope that your species can learn to cooperate with others. Your individual actions influenced our decision to proceed with the next phase of contact." "What is the next phase?" Maya asked. "We would like you to come with us to meet representatives from other species in our alliance," Commander Lisa explained. "You would serve as an example of the best human qualities while we continue to evaluate whether formal contact between our civilizations would be beneficial." Maya's head was spinning. "You want me to go into space?" "Yes," Henry said. "Our ship is hidden near your moon. You would be completely safe, and we would bring you back to Earth whenever you wish to return." Maya thought about her brother Jake, and her business and her responsibilities. "I can't just leave everything behind." "You would not have to," Dr. Alex assured her. "We can arrange things so that time passes differently for you. A week on our ship might equal only a day on Earth." Maya did not understand how that was possible, but she was beginning to realize that these beings had technology far beyond human capabilities. "Why me specifically? Why not a scientist or a government leader?" Henry smiled. "Because Maya, you represent something very special about humanity. You are an ordinary person who chooses to do extraordinary things. Your compassion and integrity are not the result of special training or education. They come from your heart." Commander Lisa nodded. "Leaders and scientists might tell us what they think we want to hear, but your actions that night in this shop showed us who you really are without any pretense." Maya looked around her small tailor shop, thinking about how much her life was about to change. "What about the strange materials that have been appearing outside my shop?" "Those were gifts from us," Dr. Alex explained. "We wanted to help your business succeed, and we also wanted to see how you would use advanced materials. You have created beautiful work with them." "My brother Jake tested some of the materials," Maya said. "He discovered they contain elements Not found on Earth. Henry's eyes lit up with interest. Your brother studies physics. Yes, we would very much like to meet him. Scientists who can recognize alien technology are exactly the kind of humans we hope to work with in the future. Maya realized that Jake would be incredibly excited about all of this. Her younger brother had always dreamed about the possibility of life on other planets, and here was proof that his dreams were real. If I agree to come with you, what exactly would I have to do? Maya asked. You would meet with representatives from 12 different species in our alliance, Commander Lisa explained. They would ask you questions about human culture and observe how you interact with beings very different from yourself. Some of the species communicate differently than humans, Dr. Alex added. Some use colors or sounds or even telepathy. We want to see if humans can learn to cooperate with beings who think and act in completely different ways. Maya felt scared but also excited. This was the greatest adventure anyone could imagine, and they were offering it to her because she had shown kindness to a stranger. How long would this take? Probably about a week in ship time, Henry replied. As I mentioned, that would equal perhaps a day or two on Earth. Your brother and your customers would barely notice you were gone. Maya made her decision. I'll do it, but I want Jake to know where I'm going, and I want your promise that you'll bring me back safely. You have our promise, all three aliens said together. Henry smiled at Maya with genuine warmth. Thank you, Maya. Your willingness to represent humanity means more than you can imagine. Small acts of kindness really can change the course of history. Maya returned to her tailor shop on Earth feeling like she was living in two different worlds at the same time. To her customers and neighbors, she was still the same young seamstress who worked long hours to make beautiful clothes. But in secret, she was now humanity's first unofficial ambassador to an alien civilization. The first few weeks back on Earth were challenging. Maya had to act normal while processing everything she had learned aboard the alien ship. She continued working on regular sewing projects, but now she also had new responsibilities that no human had ever faced before. Henry visited her shop regularly, though he always appeared in his human disguise. He helped Maya learn how to use the advanced communication device that connected her to the alien ship. He also taught her how to identify other humans who might be ready for contact with galactic civilization. Look for people who help others without expecting recognition, Henry advised. Watch for individuals who show curiosity about the universe beyond their own immediate concerns. Most importantly, find humans who can keep important secrets. Maya began paying closer attention to her customers and the people in her neighborhood. She noticed things she had never focused on before. Mrs. Rodriguez, who lived next door, always checked on elderly neighbors during bad weather. The mailman, Tony, always took extra time to help people who had trouble reading their mail. The librarian across the street, Sarah, organized free reading programs for children whose families could not afford books. These were the kinds of people Henry said would make good ambassadors. People who cared about others and showed wisdom in their daily choices. Maya began making lists of potential candidates while continuing to run her business normally. Jake was having his own adventures at the university. He had returned to his physics classes, but now he understood concepts that his professors were only beginning to theorize about. He had to be careful not to reveal too much advanced knowledge while still pushing human science forward in helpful directions. It's like being given the answers to a test but not being allowed to show your work. Jake complained to Maya during one of their secret meetings. I know how faster than light travel works, but I can't just write down the equations without years of supporting research. But Jake was making progress. He began publishing papers that introduced concepts he had learned from the aliens, but presented them as his own theoretical work. His professors were impressed by his insights, and other scientists began building on his ideas. Maya's first attempt at recruiting a human ambassador came when Mrs. Rodriguez mentioned that her grandson Carlos was having trouble in school. Carlos was a bright kid, but his family could not afford a tutor, and he was falling behind in his classes. I might be able to help, Maya offered. She had been given some educational materials by the aliens that could help children learn more effectively. The materials looked like ordinary books and games, but they used advanced techniques to help young minds absorb information faster. Mrs. Rodriguez was grateful for Maya's help. As Carlos began using the special educational materials, his grades improved dramatically. But more importantly, Maya observed how Mrs. Rodriguez and her family reacted to unexpected good fortune. They did not become selfish or demanding. Instead, they looked for ways to help other children who were struggling in school. After several months of careful observation, Maya decided that Mrs. Rodriguez was ready to learn the truth. She invited her neighbor over for coffee one evening. When Henry was visiting the shop, "Maria, I need to tell you something that will sound impossible," Maya began nervously, "but I hope you'll listen with an open mind." Maya and Henry spent 2 hours explaining about alien contact and the galactic community. Mrs. Rodriguez listened carefully, asking thoughtful questions, but not panicking or refusing to believe what she was hearing. "So you're telling me that Carlos's new learning materials came from outer space?" Mrs. Rodriguez said finally. "Yes," Maya confirmed. "And we're asking if you would like to help us prepare other humans for eventual contact with these civilizations." Mrs. Rodriguez thought for a long moment. Then she smiled. "Maya, if these space people are anything like Henry here, they seem like good folks. I'd be honored to help." This became Maya's pattern for recruiting human ambassadors. She would identify people who showed the right qualities, then observe them carefully for months before approaching them. She never rushed the process, and she always gave people the choice to say no without pressure. Over the next year, Maya and Jake built a small network of trusted humans who knew about alien contact. The group included Mrs. Rodriguez and her family, plus Sarah the librarian, Tony the mailman, Dr. Patricia Kim, a local pediatrician who volunteered at free clinics, and Father Miguel, a priest who ran a soup kitchen for homeless people. Each new ambassador was chosen carefully, and each brought different skills to the group. Dr. Kim could help with medical applications of alien technology. Father Miguel understood how to address people's spiritual concerns about contact with other worlds. Sarah knew how to research and organize information, while Tony was excellent at building trust with people from different backgrounds. The network met monthly in Maya's shop after hours. Henry attended these meetings along with occasional visits from Commander Lisa and Dr. Alex. The aliens shared new technologies and information, while the humans discussed how to introduce these concepts gradually into their communities. "The key is to make progress seem natural," Commander Lisa explained during one meeting. "When new technologies or ideas appear, they should feel like logical next steps in human development, not sudden leaps forward." Dr. Kim was particularly skilled at this approach. She began publishing medical research that incorporated alien knowledge about human biology, but presented it as the result of traditional scientific investigation. Her papers helped human doctors develop better treatments for diseases while keeping the true source of the knowledge secret. Father Miguel found ways to use alien insights about consciousness and spirituality to help people in his community deal with psychological problems. He never claimed the ideas came from aliens, but he used their advanced understanding of mental health to provide better counseling and support. The most challenging recruitment came when Maya tried to approach Dr. William Chen, a professor at the local university who specialized in xenobiology, the study of potential alien life. Dr. Chen seemed like an obvious choice for their network, but he turned out to be skeptical and suspicious. "You're asking me to believe that you've made contact with multiple alien species, and they've been secretly observing Earth," Dr. Chen said, when Maya finally revealed the truth to him. "Do you have any idea how ridiculous that sounds?" Maya had expected this reaction. Dr. Chen was a scientist who demanded proof and evidence. Simply telling him about the aliens would not be enough. "I understand your skepticism," Maya replied. "What would you need to see in order to believe?" Dr. Chen thought for a moment. "I'd need to examine alien technology or biological samples, something that clearly could not have been produced on Earth." Maya discussed Dr. Chen's requirements with Henry, who agreed to provide some demonstration materials. A week later, Maya invited Dr. Chen back to her shop for what she called a private consultation about his research. When Dr. Chen arrived, he found Henry waiting in his true alien form. The professor's first reaction was shock, then skepticism, then fascination as Henry demonstrated alien technologies and answered detailed questions about galactic biology. "This is either the most elaborate hoax in history, or the most important scientific discovery ever made, Dr. Chen said after 3 hours of intense questioning. It's not a hoax, Henry assured him. And yes, it is the most important discovery in human history. The question is whether you're willing to help humanity handle this discovery responsibly. Dr. Chen joined their network and became one of their most valuable members. His scientific credentials allowed him to introduce alien biological concepts into mainstream research, while his natural caution helped keep the group's activities secret. As the network grew, Maya began to realize how much responsibility she was carrying. Every decision about who to trust and what to reveal could affect the future of human civilization, but she also felt supported by the growing group of humans and aliens who shared this incredible secret. "You're doing exactly what we hoped you would do," Henry told Maya during one of their private conversations. "Building bridges between species and helping both sides prepare for eventual open contact." Maya looked around her shop, which had become so much more than a simple business. "Sometimes I can't believe this is really happening." "Believe it," Henry smiled. "And Maya, you should know that other networks like yours are forming around the world. The process is working and humanity is slowly getting ready for its future among the stars." The seamstress who had once worried about paying her bills was now coordinating one of the most important projects in human history. And it had all started with a simple act of kindness on a rainy night. 2 years after Maya first met Henry, her life had transformed in ways she could never have imagined. Her small tailor shop had become a secret hub for humanity's introduction to galactic civilization. The network of human ambassadors had grown to include trusted individuals in 12 different countries, all working quietly to prepare their communities for eventual open contact with alien species. Maya stood in her shop early one morning looking at the latest gifts that had appeared. Overnight, instead of fabric and thread, the aliens now provided technologies that could help solve human problems. There were water purification devices disguised as simple filters, medical scanners that looked like ordinary thermometers, and communication equipment that appeared to be nothing more than upgraded smartphones. Jake knocked on her back door carrying his morning coffee and a folder full of research papers. Now in his final year of college, he had become one of the most promising young physicists in the country. His professors had no idea that his breakthrough insights came from conversations with beings from other worlds. "Any word from the ship?" Jake asked as he settled into his usual chair. Maya checked the special communicator Henry had given her. "Commander Lisa says they're ready to begin Phase 2 of the contact process." Phase 2 was something the human ambassadors had been preparing for over the past year. Instead of just introducing alien concepts gradually, the plan was to begin revealing the truth about galactic civilization to carefully selected groups of humans. People who had already benefited from alien technologies without knowing their true origin would be told where the help had really come from. "Are you ready for this?" Jake asked his sister. Maya thought about how much her confidence had grown over the past 2 years. She had learned to communicate with beings who thought in completely different ways. She had helped solve problems affecting multiple alien species. She had recruited and trained dozens of human ambassadors. The nervous young woman who had worried about making rent had become someone who could handle almost any challenge. "I'm ready," Maya said. "What about you?" Jake grinned. "I've been ready since the day I first met Henry in his true form. This is the most exciting thing that's ever happened to humanity." Their conversation was interrupted by the arrival of Dr. Kim, who had come to pick up a new batch of medical devices. The pediatrician had been using alien technology to help sick children for over a year. The devices had saved dozens of lives, but Dr. Kim had told her patients and colleagues that the equipment came from an experimental research program. "Maya, I need to ask you something important," Dr. Kim said, looking serious. "Yesterday I used one of the healing devices to help a little girl who had been in a car accident. Her injuries were so severe that she should have died, but the alien technology saved her life completely." Maya nodded, waiting for Dr. Kim to continue. "Her parents are asking questions about how such advanced medical equipment ended up in a small clinic," Dr. Kim explained. "I think they deserve to know the truth about what saved their daughter's life." This was exactly the kind of situation Phase 2 was designed to address. People who had been helped by alien technology would gradually be told the truth about where it came from. The process would start with individuals and families, then expand to larger groups as humanity demonstrated its ability to handle the knowledge responsibly. Are they the kind of people who could keep this secret? Maya asked. Yes, Dr. Kim replied. They're good people who care more about their daughter's health than about publicity or personal gain. Maya made the decision that had become familiar to her over the past 2 years. Bring them here tonight after the shop closes. We'll tell them everything. That evening, Maya's shop filled with people who had become like a second family to her. Mrs. Rodriguez and her grandson Carlos, who was now excelling in school thanks to alien educational technology. Sarah, the librarian who had been using advanced computer systems to create amazing research databases. Father Miguel, who had helped dozens of people overcome addiction and depression using alien insights about mental health. Dr. Chen, who had published groundbreaking papers about the possibility of life on other worlds. The newest visitors were Dr. Kim's patients, Roberto and Carmen Valdez, along with their 8-year-old daughter, Sofia. The little girl had been completely healed by alien medical technology, but her parents still did not know the true source of the miracle that had saved her life. Henry arrived in his human disguise, accompanied by Commander Lisa and Dr. Alex. Maya had learned that these 3 aliens had become genuine friends, not just professional colleagues. They seemed to enjoy spending time with the humans they had come to know and trust. Roberto and Carmen, Maya began gently. Your daughter was saved by medical technology that came from very far away. Farther than you might imagine. Maya and the aliens spent the next 3 hours explaining everything about galactic civilization and humanity's gradual introduction to the interstellar community. Roberto and Carmen listened with amazement as they learned that their daughter had been healed by beings from other worlds. So Sophia is alive because people from space decided to help humans, Carmen said, holding her daughter close. Yes, Henry replied. And more than that, your daughter represents the future we're working toward. A time when no child anywhere in the galaxy will have to suffer from diseases that can be easily cured. Roberto looked around the room at all the humans and aliens working together. How many people know about this? Several hundred humans worldwide, Commander Lisa answered. The number grows every month as more people prove they can handle the responsibility of this knowledge. What happens next? Sophia asked, with the directness that only children possess. Do we get to visit the spaceship? Henry smiled at the little girl's enthusiasm. Maybe someday, Sophia. For now, we need humans like your parents to help us prepare other people for that possibility. The Valdez family agreed to join the network of human ambassadors. Roberto was a teacher who could help introduce alien educational concepts into schools, while Carmen worked as a social worker, helping families in crisis. Both had skills that would be valuable as the contact process expanded. As the meeting ended, Maya realized how far they had all come. The group of frightened, confused people who had first learned about alien contact had become confident ambassadors working to prepare humanity for its greatest adventure. I have an announcement, Henry said as people prepared to leave. The Galactic Council has approved the next phase of contact with humanity. Within 5 years, we will begin revealing ourselves to larger populations. Jake's eyes lit up. You mean open contact? Not completely open yet, Dr. Alex explained. But we will begin working with human governments and institutions directly, instead of only through secret networks like yours. Maya felt a mixture of excitement and nervousness. Will we still be needed? More than ever, Commander Lisa assured her. You and the other ambassadors will help bridge the gap between the secret phase and open contact. Your experience working with both humans and aliens makes you invaluable guides for this transition. After everyone left, Maya sat alone in her shop thinking about the incredible journey that had started with a simple act of kindness. She had invited a cold, wet stranger into her warm shop, and that decision had changed not just her life but the future of her entire species. Jake came back into the shop carrying 2 cups of hot chocolate. Penny, for your thoughts. I was just thinking about that night when I first met Henry, Maya replied. I never imagined something so simple could lead to all this. That's the thing about kindness, Jake said, sitting down beside his sister. You never know how far it will spread or what it might accomplish. Maya smiled, thinking about all the people, human and alien, who had become part of her extended family over the past 2 years. Do you think we're doing the right thing? Maya looked around. Jake gestured at the shop filled with advanced technologies that were helping people all over the world. Look at what we've accomplished. Children are getting better education, sick people are being healed, and humanity is getting ready to join a community of peaceful civilizations. And it all started because you saw someone who needed help and you decided to offer it, Jake continued. If that's not proof that we're doing the right thing, I don't know what is. Maya nodded, feeling grateful for everything that had happened. She thought about Henry's words from that first night, that small acts of kindness could change everything. He had been more right than either of them could have imagined. Outside her shop window, Maya could see the stars beginning to appear in the darkening sky. Somewhere among those distant lights were thousands of different species living and working, together in peace, and soon humanity would join them. The seamstress from Portland who had once struggled to pay her rent was now one of the most important people in human history. But Maya knew that her greatest accomplishment was not the role she played in first contact. It was the simple decision to treat a stranger with kindness and compassion. That choice had opened a door between worlds and changed the future of civilization itself. As Maya locked up her shop for the night, she smiled, knowing that tomorrow would bring new challenges and new opportunities to help both species prepare for the amazing future they would build together.